Hello my dear YouTuber friends, and I do hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to this new video, which is concentrating on the default weather in Microsoft Flight Simulator. At the date of recording this, we're still in Sim Update 9. The default weather can actually look surprisingly very good and beautiful. In this video, I'm going to be taking us between different types of weather conditions just to show you how good this weather can get. I'm also going to talk about one or two things that are not so good about it at the moment and could be improved. Okay, so let's not dilly-dally. Let's get on with this video. Let's start us off on the main menu and go to world map. What I like to do, as you can see, we've got various clouds formations going on around different areas there. Over North Scotland, not surprisingly, quite a lot of cloud there. To have clouds showing, at the bottom here you'll have something called More on both Xbox and PC. Just click into that and then go Open Filters. Open Filters. And then where it's got weather layer, just put it on clouds, and you can go between different things there. But just have it on clouds, and then you can see where the cloud formations are currently, according to Microsoft Flight Simulator, around the world in various different places. This looks quite interesting, doesn't it? I have no idea about the elevation of this place, but let's give it a try. I'm going to set off from here. Oh, that'll do. Set as departure. Weather conditions or flight conditions, just make sure you have it on live weather if you want to see live weather. I will be talking about at least one of these presets, the storm preset, later on, because that can look pretty good as well. But there you go. Let's just move the time forward a bit here so we get some more daylight. With that all set, Cessna 172 selected. In my case, let's go fly. There you go, taking the liberty of taking off and flying through some precarious situations there. Starting on our little gravel runway, so spectacular area to fly around this, in fact. Let's concentrate on the default weather. As you can see, you've got different cloud layerings going on there. I'm going to try and fly towards these clouds themselves just to see what different effects. It's all very random, I've got to say. When you're flying with Microsoft Flight Simulator default live weather, you just never know what to expect until you get into the aircraft and take off, and then you see the different cloud formations. And goodness knows what. I've just got it on autopilot and managed heading mode, so I'm managing my heading with a couple of buttons on my HALTAS to fly around here. Yeah, so far it looks pretty interesting. It's very different. Got a few flights just this evening, in fact, or just today, around different areas, and each place looks very, I mean, not just the actual scenery, but the cloud formations themselves and weather looks very different from each place I'm flying into. Doesn't that look atmospheric? Let's get in the cockpit and look around there. Very daunting flying around or flying towards that. In fact, I might be well advised just to raise my altitude a little bit there. Let's go to 3.6, that should do. And just raise my vertical speed a little bit more, come on. That's better. As we don't want to be flying into mountains, that will cut our video very short. It's very, very surprising. Each area you're flying to, obviously you're getting different cloud coverage and whatnot, and even cloud formations. There's a couple of disadvantages, a couple of things that I feel could be improved with the weather texturing and cloud formations, which I'll come to in the conclusion. You can check the timeline below, but I urge you to watch this video through. Back in the cockpit, I'm looking up and around at that. Ugh. You wouldn't want to be flying in a little old Cessna with that kind of cloud coverage. This is live weather, so maybe somebody is around the world. But it looks pretty good. You can see the different layering. Now, I don't want to do a direct comparison with Rex Weatherforce. I'll link the video I did of Rex Weatherforce in the top right for you. People were saying for a start they wish it was on Xbox. It's only on PC, so you can only use it with PC Flight Simulator 2020. People on PC were saying they were having FPS issues and trouble running Rex Weatherforce. And other people were saying, well, actually, and when you look at scenes like that, the default weather can look as spectacular in certain conditions. When you get to a condition and a scene like that, I do have to agree with them. Like I said, there's a couple of things with the default weather that don't look quite right or could be improved. And in fact, Rex Weatherforce does improve on a couple of things and has a couple of advantages over the default weather. But for what's there, like I said, it's like a box of chocolates. You never quite know what to expect. But come on. I mean, you can look at this with your own eyes, and you can actually go for a flight yourself. I've got the weather, the clouds on high on my PC. On my Series S, it looks just as spectacular in certain conditions, so I believe they would have the cloud texturing and setting on high as well. The Xbox would use its own bespoke sort of settings, of course. But I believe it's on high as well, from looking at it and flying. In various different conditions, it can look pretty amazing, especially when you got scenery like this around. Very special indeed. There we go, I'll give you a different view there. Very, very nice. Let's just fly to our left here. And we got sort of different layering. Now, like I said, I don't want to do a direct comparison with Rex Weatherforce. Rex Weatherforce does the cloud layering a little bit differently. And in some cases it does feel a little bit more authentic. But the default Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 weather, or Microsoft Flight Simulator weather, has its own look and feel and atmosphere of its own. And in some cases, I kind of prefer it over the Rex Weatherforce. It's certainly less hassle to get up and running. Sometimes I look at it and think, oh, I actually prefer the way this looks. Certainly the way it performs. Now, I don't have my VR headset with me. If I was in VR, looking around, you got cloud coverage such as that, that would look pretty amazing. Even there you can see the different layering of the clouds. Yeah, it can look very special indeed in certain situations. But I'll tell you what I'll do now. I'll jump to one of the presets. So I'm in live weather at the moment, of course, but there's different presets, as you all know, with the default weather. I'll jump into the storm preset and show you how spectacular that can look. And okay, we're flying around London. Don't be confused or alarmed. There's no major thunderstorm hitting London. I've just set it from the weather tab from the top there, so the weather icon, the cloud icon, to storm. Now, I've just come out and flown around the storm just to show you, sort of come out and set my heading to skirt around the storms just to show you some spectacular looking views that you can get in the default weather. This is all default. Flying over the London area, really pushing my PC to my laptop to the limits here. But look at that. The trouble is with the default storm settings, or hail or snow or blizzard, whatever you set it on, it sticks you right in the centre of it. So to get the real sort of view and beauty of these weather conditions, you have to fly up and around. And what I do, I just ensure that I've got my next rad turned on. So that would be just map options, make sure your next rad is turned on. Zoom out a bit so you can see where the storm layers are. And then you can start to see some of the beauty of this. This is rivaling Rex Weather Force for sure. Now, like I said, there's one or two things that could be improved, which I'll leave till later in the conclusion. But it's certainly the look of it is rivaling. Let's just get my aircraft configured there. I do have it in heading mode again. It's rivaling Rex Weather Force in terms of its looks. Atmosphere, certainly. Let's get inside the cockpit and just take a look around whilst we're flying towards those flashes of lightning in the distance there. Absolutely beautiful. Wonderful. So yeah, that's the storm layer. You would have things like high level clouds and broken clouds and scattered clouds and overcast snow. They to me are so I don't bother with them too much. I do fly in scattered clouds if I don't want to, if the weather's quite severe, just to calm the weather down. If I'm making a video, I'll do that sometimes. Typically I would prefer it on live weather, or if I fancy a bit of an adventure, stick it on storm, get out of the main bank of storm that it sticks you right in the centre of, skirt around it, and you can get some spectacular. And this is pretty random as well. I've flown in the default weather on the storm setting, flown out of the storm, and it's looked completely different. So even though it is a preset, it can be pretty random the way it spawns pretty much right on top of you. So there you go. That, once again, that can look pretty spectacular and daunting and exciting in its own right. Okay, so now let me take you to my conclusion about the default weather. And so conclusion time, as I'm flying around back over the north of Scotland in live weather again. In its current state, the default Microsoft weather system is looking pretty good. It's had many improvements, as you can see here. It can look pretty spectacular. There's a couple of things that could be improved with it though. Now people have been mentioning on forums and in other areas that you do get this kind of popcorn cloud effect, as you can see here. Some of the cloud formations can resemble popcorn to some extent. When I'm using Rex Weather Force, the clouds look quite different. They don't have this kind of like popcorny effect as you can see going on there. It's not too bad. That could be improved. As you can see, there's a bit more going on there, though that does look pretty amazing, doesn't it? That could be improved in later sim updates, and hopefully it will be. So we don't feel like we're going to be wanting to munch on popcorns. There we go, you can see more popcorn kind of effects there with that cloud formation as we're flying with live weather. I don't know if you can notice this, but some of the clouds can look pixelated. Let's see if we can capture that as we're flying close to this. As you're flying close to clouds or flying through them on some occasions, it can look a bit pixelated, the clouds. Now I'm only seeing this as I'm comparing it to when I'm flying Rex Weather Force as well. You don't get that kind of effect. But yeah, it can look, it might be something to do with my settings. Let me know down below. As you can see, get that kind of pixelated looks with the clouds as you fly through them sometimes as well. Another thing that leaves a bit of to be desired, or an area for improvements, is the accuracy of the default weather. I'll link a video in the top right. We did a storm chasing live stream video. There I was using Rex Weatherfalls. I was using live lightning maps to find lightning around the world. Spawned in with Rex Weatherfalls. More often than not, the area I spawned into, you could see lightning storms going off around. With the default weather, I've yet to capture it. If I go to a lightning map, so lightning storms that are happening around the world, spawning on that in the default live weather, more often than not, you get a bit of rain and cloud formation, but more often than not, you'll see no thunder or lightning. So the accuracy of the weather system leaves a little bit to be desired. There. Again, I'd like to know your thoughts on that. Another area of improvement would be the presets. Now you've got things like live weather, we're in that at the moment, clear skies, scattered clouds which I'll fly in if the weather's too severe. If I'm making a video and I want some cloud effects, that can look quite nice. It's all kind of static looking to some extent. Of course you all know all this broken clouds. We showed you the storm preset as well. Let's stick it back on live weather. Ooh, let the sim catch up with me there. The presets themselves, it would be nice to have a few more additions for both PC and Xbox versions of Microsoft Flight Simulator. With Rex, instead of sticking you in the center of the storm, you'll have things like approaching storm, towering clouds. You would also have a search function, and that's another thing that I would love to see in the default version of Microsoft Flight Simulator, more than likely on the world map. So you can search for things like thunderstorms on the world map, towering clouds, all different kind blizzards, all different kinds of weather conditions, and then go and fly there. It would be nice to see that introduced in future sim updates. But all in all, if you're on PC or Xbox and you're flying the default weather, as you can see there, you can get some amazing looking results. Yes, the popcorn clouds could do with being fixed and altered so it looks more natural, but generally it can look pretty beautiful, and generally it's the weather system that I would just normally fly, and it's less hassle. And if you capture it in the right conditions, look at that, you can just see the land and water beneath those clouds there. It can look pretty amazing. But let me know your thoughts below. Have you tried things like Rex Weatherfalls? What are your thoughts on that? Have you had trouble? There's the sort of pixelated cloud effect I was talking about. Let me know your thoughts below. Give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. Look at that. Subscribe for more, many more Flight Simulator videos on their way. And I'll see you soon.